probably wondering why this guitar is sitting behind the drums. First of all, I love the drums. I've been playing them for almost as long as I've been playing the guitar. I played it in all my solo stuff. I played it in a bunch of bands about a little bit over 10 years ago. I played in a bunch of bands all over the place. And it has given me a unique perspective in how to communicate with other musicians. So we're going to talk about that. And if you're new to rhythm or just how to talk about this stuff with other band members, or just you're curious about playing the drums at the beginner level, this might be really helpful. I just want to note very quickly that you don't need a drum kit to play any of this stuff. I got a couple pens. I'm going to hit my desk or my table here as if it's a hi-hat. The base of my lamp as if it's a snare. Just stomp my foot in the ground as if it's the kick drum. So you can do all this stuff, play music anywhere, everywhere. So first of all, most songs, not all, but most are in what we would call 4/4 time. A lot of people call it common time. And you're used to hearing people go like 1, 2, 3, 4. So most people will count it out in fours. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what happens is, usually on the drums, the simplest version of this is you'll keep the hi-hat moving at a steady pace. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, here I'm cutting each one of those in half. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the odd numbers you play with the kick drum. And the even numbers you play with your snare. So it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the simplest, most common backbeat. You hear that all the time. And it's used in everything from rockabilly. I'll use the cross stick on the snare. We'll do some R&B. This is going to sound a lot like Billie Jean. To some like really slow stoner rock. Can be used in so many types of music. So the way that we would count that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then those subdivisions, or where we're cutting those numbers in half, we would call those the ands. So you hear this all the time: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you end up with this grid, this kind of this linear grid. That you can read even if you don't read music, that goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which makes sense. So what we can do with this, we can start communicating to other people. Oh, the accent is actually on the 4, so don't hit the snare on the 2. So it'd be like 1, 2 and 3. Now at different speeds. 1, 2 and 3. So what we can do then is we can say, we can start adding notes into that grid, not just taking them out. So we can say, you know what, add a kick drum on the 3 and. So the and that's after 3, 3 and. So it'd be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Again, at different speeds. So some other simple things that we can do to communicate, some simple accents in that. Is, let's say we'll stick with that same kind of backbeat with the 3 and we're going to add an open hi-hat on the 4 and. So it'll be like. So we're starting to even get the feel of a beat that's happening right there. Now, there's so many things that you can do with that, and the next step is to cut this up, not just into eighths, as you can imagine, we call those eighth notes, but into 16ths. So you get the 16th note matrix that you hear drummers talk about sometimes. So that would be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now those subdivisions between the 1 something and something, we would call those E and That's very common terminology for those. It would be 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. So now you can start taking notes or adding notes in between there. So like something like that would be able to use the ands that are in between, or let's do that again without screwing up the sticking. So let's take that and let's take a look at using our usual backbeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And I'm not going to be playing the E's and U's on the hi-hat, but we're going to add one of those. So I could say it's going to be straight eighth notes on the hi-hat, and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and kick, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm going to add 2 and on the kick, 1 and 2 and oops, I didn't except I didn't actually do it there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that sounds pretty good. But let's go ahead and add a 1 Now remember, I'm only playing eighth notes over here, so I would communicate this to someone as like playing eighth, keep a straight 8 on the hi-hat. Straight 8, that's a very common saying. Just keep the eighth notes clicking away as we've been doing. And normal backbeat, but we're going to add a 1 on the kick and a 2 and on the kick. So it's quickly able to kind of explain what that beat looks like. So at different speeds, maybe with a cross stick and the ride cymbal. And we can take that just a step further and say maybe let's not play the 4 and on anything. So that could be a really good slow rock groove. So that's the basics of it. Of course, you can play this anywhere. You don't need to play it on the drum kit. So let's take a look at using a 4 on the floor and communicating a little bit more to make the beat a little bit different. So I'll do our usual backbeat with a cross stick. But let's do that with 4 on the floor. And then I'm going to add the 4 on the cross stick snare. So let's talk about the 3-2 clave, because once I learned it and I was able to kind of apply it to stuff, it opened up a lot of things for me. Now the claves are this specific instrument. I don't know where my claves are, but I'll put in an insert video here. Found them. Claves. Yeah, so you've seen that instrument, you know what that is, and that's the name of the instrument, but it's also the name of the specific rhythm, where the accents are on the 1, 2 and, 3 and 4. So it's like. So let's see that in practice. I'll play a straight 8 on the hi-hat and 4 on the floor with those accents. So that's something you can play anywhere. It sounds great. Always sounds great. Let's try that with the ride cymbal and the snare. So let's try that 4 on the floor, 3-2 clave on the snare, straight 8s on the ride, except I'm going to hit the China here on the 4, and nothing on the 4 and. So what's so great about the 3-2 clave is that you can play just half of it. Most people would call this the 3 side of the 3-2 clave. And it gives you this beat that I think most of us are pretty inundated with. We hear it everywhere. It's pretty ubiquitous, but I want to play it for you now. I'm going to keep a straight 8 on the hi-hat and just kind of do the cross stick for the accents for the 3 side of the 3-2 clave. So just for the half of it that has the 3 accents. It would sound like this. So let's hear that with 4 on the floor added. So obviously that is a beat that can be pretty infectious. A lot of people use it, and keeping the 4 on the floor holds the beat together while you've got this kind of syncopation going with the 3 side of the 3 side of the 3-2 clave. So let's take a look at another way that you can play that, which is to play the 3 side of the 3-2 clave with the first 2 accents on the kick and the third accent on the snare. I'm going to keep this straight 8 going on the hi-hat. Let's see what that sounds like. So we can transition from one to the other so you can see a couple different ways to use it. I'm just going to use those 2 exact same beats. Some very simple basics of rhythm and drums and how you can talk to other musicians about this stuff. I hope this helps. I would love it if you would subscribe, and lots of other lessons and stuff available on the Patreon. Cheers.